Hey everyone, TimaeuSS. Welcome to another NIKKE video. So as you guys requested in my previous video, we're going to go over the current CN tier list 3.0, okay? And I'll go over the JP tier list as well in a separate video, but let's talk about the CN one. And actually, they wrote the reasoning behind a lot of choices, or we can use Google Translate, and I can read some of that. So hopefully I can bring you guys the reasoning behind the CN rankings. But of course, before we do that, make sure you go collect that extra 10 Rainbow ticket or advanced recruitment vouchers from the mail, because we reached again top 10 bestsellers list across multiple different app stores. So get that, and if you didn't get Helm, good luck, and if you already got Helm, I hope you get a Pilgrim. Post down below what you got from those 10 tickets and we shall resume to our tier list video. So let's take a look. In the CN tier list, they've broken it down into bursts in terms of position 1 or burst 1, burst 2, burst 3. I think it's a very interesting way to tackle this, because they said that they are more geared towards team compositions, in the sense that you want to focus on the burst climbing and how that affects your entire team. Of course, as you know, for global, we have the Pride Win tier list, which is based on team composition as well as endgame level 200 plus 7 core up with best equips. So let's see what they have to say with regards to some of their choices. So Litter, I think this is the common ground between, you know, the global, the JP, as well as the CN tier list. Litter is an absolute beast, tier 0. So the reason why they've put Litter as a tier 0 is because a very strong support, can decrease crit damage, can repair walls, and what else did they say? Burst damage, high damage increase. And as we know, there is a attack formula that was posted on the CN website. If you guys are interested, I could have a discussion about that as well. But basically, the attack boosts offered by supports is much greater, I think, than crit damage. I might have it reversed, so I'll do it in a separate video as to not confuse you guys. But what they found is that Litter's damage increase in terms of her kit, the power that she provides is like 3 times or 2 times more than volume, right? So Litter indisputably the first place in burst 1. Okay, so everyone else, I think the glaring difference that we have in comparison is obviously they've ranked Rapunzel as T1, and Pridewin has Ludmilla as T2. So Ludmilla is T2. Right now, Ludmilla is bugged. The taunt does not work at all. Okay, so I can understand why they put her there, but let's see what she has to say. Ranked A, sorry, the CN tier list ranks her as A with open 15-second taunt, but it's not working at the moment, and self-defense buff. So I'm gonna assume they put her there because, again, the taunt is not working. So hopefully that's gonna be fixed. And then in terms of Rapunzel, so this, my whale guildmates actually found Rapunzel very good in the late stages. Right now, around chapter 13, chapter 14, as they're trying to climb, Rapunzel's heal is actually a big difference maker, because she can do damage. Her heal scales on max HP, so if you stack a lot of stats on her and let her heal while outputting damage, it actually makes sure that your team is able to survive a bit longer. However, with the release of Helm, technically you could put Helm over her, and Helm's lifesteal allows units like Scarlet to stay much longer and more viable in the later chapters. So we'll see if that changes. So everything else I can somewhat agree with. So let's move into Burst 2. So Burst 2, the CN players put Dola as the premier tier 0 Burst 2. Okay, so Dola, in a sense, similar to Litter, has a burst reduction. So let's take a look at where Dola stands in the tier list. So Dola's A, at the top of A. Her skill is very unique, again, decreasing the cooldown of burst skills, and it stacks, increasing attack crit damage and critical rates. Very similar to Litter, and we know Litter is insane. Okay, Litter is insane, and she's got that attack boost as well. So I can see why Dola is again placed very highly. Okay, so tier 0. So tier 1 wise, everything else looks pretty similar, I think, to what we have on the global pages almost. So those are the tier 1s. Polly, I think right now, again, is a bit bugged in the sense that her shield only applies to herself. Okay, and everyone else is pretty good. I'm not sure about Yunhua, so I want to look at why they rate Yunhua that high. Because this is, I think, more of a personal thing. Let's take a look. Yunhua is rated high because defense down. Is that what they're saying? I can read a bit of CN in Japanese, of course, but if a good defense reduction burst has some supporting factors. So I'm not sure, if this deserves a T1 in burst 2, because usually in burst 2 you want your supports, and I would obviously rate Uni a lot higher personally, like at least a tier 1 and then Yuhan down in terms of the CN tier list, because we know Uni is bugged at the moment. So if you manually control Uni and put Uni in, let's say, position 2 as your priority burst 2, just have it manually controlled and she will essentially let Scarlet get a free reload. So you can see some of my opinions a bit biased towards team being built around Scarlet, because I think she's so oppressive. But so if we take Scarlet out of the picture, I still think Litter and Dola is going to be tier 0 for sure, and everyone else probably just where they are in terms of comparing to the burst tier list. So let's take a look at tier 3 then. So tier 3 is very, very important to go through, and I think the most stark difference that we can see across the different servers. So first of all, tier 0, they put Heron before Scarlet. And the reason is because, again, Heron has a bug at the moment, okay? Heron has an insane bug where if you hold down the sniper, she will do 250% more damage on a free charge. On a maximum sniper charge, right? Let's see if they talk about it here, yeah. So they're saying that it's an AoE and she charges and goes against penetration, against attack, that stacks up to 15 seconds, and a huge damage AoE burst. So the reason why it's tier 0 is because if you hold Heron's burst and time it so that when you know you're about to go chain up with burst, you hold it at 250%. Heron's multiplier is something like 3000 or something. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. One of the highest damage in the game. If you're able to basically use the sniper charge more effectively. However, for everyone else, I think Scarlet sits comfortably at T0. Okay, so this, not much discussion, but the big difference is Yuha. Okay, so Yuha is tier 0 according to the CN players. So this is very polarizing, very polarizing result. And for this tier list, I know the person who created this, it's not this guy, but rather this guy. Okay, he is a mega whale and he maxed Yuha because at his Yuha skill up max, you gain a 90% damage increase. Okay, so Yuha, let's take a look. Where is she? So Yuha at here. It's crazy. No, this is the crit rate. It's not even here. It's here. So on a 30-second cooldown, okay, on a 30-second cooldown, so it's not relying on burst, she offers an attack buff, almost doubling your attack. And because in the other thread where we talk about how the damage calculation is applied, attack is worth a lot. So that double attack almost is insane value. And he made a footnote in one of the blogs saying that, if you disagree with Yuha being tier 0, then you can bring some data to him and fight him on the live stream. But yes, CN players really value Yuha in that regard, so very interesting. And I managed to have a read about the rest because he did mention it, why he places units like Vesti and Isabel at tier 1, even though we know Vesti is bugged, so the burst does 0 damage, but Isabel is also tier 1, even though she is, the worst pilgrim, as we say. So we can talk about these two. So there is a very strong Isabel comp, okay? And I think I'll make a separate video on comps that are established, that people have tested and tried on the live server. There's an Isabel comps consists of Litter, Volume, Dola, Vesti, and Isabel. Basically, everyone has burst reduction, so she actually gets her stacks off. Because the reason why she isn't good at all is because she cannot get the burst working properly with the stacks. She loses 5 seconds of burst. Everyone loses 5 seconds of burst, okay, which is not great. But if you can get the effect stacking, look how much damage she actually gains. it's actually insane. So the reason is you want her to be the burst 3 unit to keep going, but with a 40-second cooldown, she's not going to be able to properly keep up with the 20-second cooldowns, right? However, with a full team of reduction, cooldown reduction for the burst, as you fill the burst bar up, you can actually go and have Isabel chain her burst 3 as always the chain burst 3 endpoint. So this is why Isabel's T1 and Vesti's T1, despite Vesti's bug giving her 1 damage on the burst 3. You basically don't use Vesti burst 3 at all. You use the rocket damage from her AoE. Her built-in kit is not bad. So that's why these are there. And in terms of Helm, they've ranked Helm as a tier 1. Okay, but it goes from left to right in that regard. So Helm isn't the best tier 1 in this sense, but I think the supportive power she provides is fantastic. But like I've said in the video, I think she was a low S, high A for me. Low S if you got Scarlet to enable it, otherwise just as herself to pair up with Heron, or let's say a Privity, I think a high A would be justified. So again, some footnotes here that it's again focused about team compositions rather than solo play, and the basis of this is level 200 plus a core 7, max level everything. And if you disagree, feel free to find him in the live stream to discuss this with him. And also SR is weaker than SSR by 40 levels, so you can never compare in that regard. Okay, so this is the CN tier list and my review. And again, I will discuss this I probably will go and look at his other article and make a different post, I think, because this video is already way too long. But he talked about team compositions, so we can go and discuss with regards to what are some of the common CN team compositions. But before that, there's also the Japanese tier list that I'll review. So anyhow, I'll end this video here. Look forward to those videos. Let me know your thoughts about the CN tier list and what you've pulled, and I'll see you guys in the next video.